The days that followed the funeral were a blur of endless paperwork, somber conversations, and the realization that her entire world had been turned upside down. Scarlett found herself swept up in the bureaucratic machinery, shuffled from one government office to the next as the authorities determined her fate. With no other family to claim her, Scarlett was placed in the care of the local orphanage. Its stark, institutional walls a far cry from the warmth and comfort of her family home. The caretakers did their best to welcome her, offering words of sympathy and small gestures of kindness. But Scarlett remained withdrawn, her grief a constant, heavy companion. In the weeks that followed, Scarlett struggled to find her footing in this new life. The routines of the orphanage, with its rigid schedules and limited freedoms, were a jarring contrast to the vibrant, loving home she had once known. She would sit in her small room, clutching the worn bear, her mind drifting back to happier times. Family game nights, her mother's homemade cookies, her father's silly jokes that always made her laugh. One day, as Scarlett wandered the empty halls, she heard the distant sound of music drifting from the chapel. Drawn by the soulful melodies, she peeked inside to find a group of women gathered, their voices blending in a harmonious prayer. Scarlett felt a familiar tug in her chest, a yearning she had always carried, but had never fully explored. Cautiously, she stepped into the chapel, her eyes meeting those of the women. They paused, then slowly resumed their hymn, welcoming Scarlett into their circle. Scarlett stood, transfixed, as the music washed over her, the notes soothing her aching heart. In that moment, she felt a glimmer of peace, a respite from the endless sorrow that had consumed her. From that day on, Scarlett began to seek out the chapel, finding solace in the act of singing. The caretakers, recognizing the therapeutic effect it had on the young girl, encouraged her to participate in the weekly services, marveling at the power of her voice.